Welcome to the eShare workshop. I am Juha Saarela. I am the product owner of eShare. Today, we're going to discuss in this workshop what are new features we have introduced since the last user meeting over 2 years ago. And a word of warning, this workshop may contain some technical topics, so be prepared. Also, if you have questions of the things I'm talking about or things I should have talked, there should be a bit of time for questions after my presentation, so wait with your questions until then. Okay, here we have some things that we have done to eShare during the last 2 years. And some of these are full-blown features, some are smaller improvements to existing feature, but all of these represent some improvement to eShare. And I dare to say that we have had quite productive 2 years behind us. Well, first, let's recap a bit. What actually is eShare? eShare has a dual role. It is an independent tool that you can use to visualize information and collaborate in project context. eShare can also be part of our Wave offering. When you embed eShare to Wave, it makes Wave the best shipbuilding PLM in the world, which has capabilities to manage and control your data and processes. Other way to put it, eShare offers views to existing data for different stakeholders, and Wave will be the source of all your product information, which offers consistency and control at every stage of the project. And if you are wondering, eShare, Wave, which one I should get? Well, think it like this. You can start connecting your data, improve your consistency, and enhance communication in eShare already today. And if you feel that you actually need more control, quality, traceability, and project performance, then you can continue with Wave now or later. This presentation is divided into sections which each handle different parts of development we've done for eShare. So let's start with topics related to freedom of sharing. And these are basically improvements that allow everyone to access the project information easily. Okay, of course, first part of freedom of sharing is how do we get people to actually use eShare. The first step is how do we host the eShare server. Well, for that, we can use Catmatic Cloud, or private cloud, or on-premise installation of eShare server. Then different users, let it be in design, manufacturing, construction, even owners, maybe class, they can have different permissions and views to the same data. Depending if you are working within your own company or if you are a subcontractor or owner, each of these can have their own licenses to same eShare server. And people can use different devices and operating systems to see the data we can offer. Original idea of eShare was that we would have a very easy to use and easy to access portal for all the data you need in your project. And we are today closer to that vision than ever. Thanks to recent advances in web technologies, we don't need anymore necessarily any desktop applications. You can just use your web browser, no need to install anything, no need to update anything. We still have the Windows-based eShare app, which is needed for most extreme project sizes and some limited features. But for instance, the largest cruise ships in the world can be run as a whole project inside eShare while using a browser. Which platforms you can use to use the client? Windows, Mac, Android, tablets. Okay, how can you access eShare? A few years ago, the only option we had was that you had to use your Windows AD authentication. Now you can also use cloud-compatible Entra ID, formerly known as Azure AD authentication, which allows the very easy management of access. And then these license groups, which allow people from different companies use their company's licenses and still work with the same ESER server with other people. And all these developments not only make ESER better to use, but they also make both trying and buying ESER easier than ever. So in case you don't have any hands-on experience with ESER, you can come to our Customer Success Corner and try it yourself. Okay, then next topic I want to talk about is the collaboration features. And collaboration is one of the fundamental aspects why ESER is valuable to you. First thing, document markups. ESER and its predecessor, eBrowser, have had capability to make markups for models for a long, long time. And now we have brought very similar capabilities to documents. Document markups are one of the features from ESER which works very nicely together with Wave. So if you need a very complex approval and change management workflow, for instance with your class, then Wave is a good way to use document markups. But if a bit more casual conversational communication is enough, then document markups inside ESER are way powerful. So document markups, like model markups, you can have multiple different types of markups for different types of reporting needs or communication needs. You can configure these types by yourself. They can have different attributes, different permissions, etc. Of course, you only see the markups that are relevant to you and only the markups which are actually relevant for the revision of the document you are working with. Another improved feature in ESER is collision checks. Collision checks have been in ESER for many, many years, but previously the way you see the results was suboptimal. You saw the results in tree, but now you can actually create tables which act as reports for your collisions, and this turns ESER into a great tool for interdiscipline and inter-CAD class checking. You can just bring your CAD models from different systems, from different disciplines, combine them in ESER, and make checks in one go for all of them. So the way this works is any user can define collision tests, and then these test definitions can be shared to other users. You can rerun your tests, and if the model has been updated, we automatically detect which collisions are already fixed. Classes that haven't been fixed yet can be approved, marked for fixing, etc. And you can also very easily create markups to have more detailed information about what should be done. And the table view, where the collisions are presented, also allows you to show extra data from your model that is relevant for these collisions. And last but not least, of course, this data can be easily exported to Excel. Okay, let's have a few demonstrations, recorded ones, of these new features. Let's start with configuring and using document markups. Document markups, as well as model markups, are based on markup types, which share a lot of common data, like custom attributes, etc. And this has the power that you can search what was the thing you were looking for, regardless whether it was a document markup or model markup. Our search finds it's just the same. An individual document markup type is very easy and fast to configure. Just need name, default color, permissions, who can do what with your favorite document markup type, and also which attributes are relevant for this markup. Okay, let's see how a document markup is created now that we actually have seen that creating those document markup types is very easy. This is a simple example where we notice that the drawing number is located outside where it should be. So let's use this as a simple example to show how document markups are done. Okay, first I just say I want to add a markup. The markup is always tied to area of the document that you are looking at the moment. Then we draw with the default color. Okay, this is the interesting part. This is where it should go. Check that the type, this is actually a custom attribute. You can define this yourself. What type of problem this was and what you should do with it. And now that you have created the markup, Easier actually links this markup to an object which was there in the document. So now if you follow the link to model side, we can see that you can see this object or this group, so document markup related to it, and you can get back to this markup very easily. So markups are one of those things which take advantage of EasyJet's capability to link 2D and 3D data. But here we saw that if you have a document, you can see what markups it has. If you have a 3D item, you can see if it has associated markups, but that's not the way you actually want to track your markups. So here we are now using the powers of EasyJet's new and modified home screen capabilities, which allows you to create multiple different tabs to your home view and use widgets to customize them as you want to. So how do we track document markups? By default, your home view has the latest markup widget, which contains both model markups and document markups, which thumbnail images and basic information, the markups that have been created. And this is all nice and dandy, but you can also use our search tool to search for markups. Here we have a saved search for all document markups we have in this project. And we can see there are a few of them. You can see the name of the markup, to which document it belongs to, what type of markup is, and also in this case, the custom attribute we had defined earlier. And this is a nice way to keep track of what markups you've been working with. But we also have a widget that allows you to turn this saved search to a quick report that you can just show in your home screen. So this, every time you see this, you actually perform the search and you can get the latest data of what kind of markups you have. And as you can see, the configuring this widget is this easy. You just say that this is the search data I want to see, and there you have your instant report. Okay, let's talk then a bit how the collision detection reporting works in practice. The way the collision detection is defined works very similar way as it has worked for years now in Easier. You open the collision detection dialog, where you define which are the interesting items for you. In this example, I have heard stories that someone has touched the water and platform systems, and there's always a chance that when you touch something, you break something, so let's check those. Turns out there were a few collisions, so let's go see them in more detail, what can we find. And this is the result view. Okay, here are the collisions. Yep, looks like a real deal. Let's save this collision detection setup and results. And here is some information of the objects which are colliding. And we can actually add any attribute from the model. In this case, let's check that all the stuff is done by standard. Yes, seems to be good. So you can immediately see relevant attribute data doing those. And now we can view that, okay, seems to be that there's one pipe, in this case, which is just hitting these supports. So let's mark all of those that we want to fix them. And for one of them, we can create a markup to say what we actually want to do with that. So creation of markup takes a few mouse clicks. The markup is pre-populated, location is predefined. So a few mouse clicks, and now these markups, of course, can be assigned to users also if you want. Okay. So now we have detected collisions, we have created a markup, and we have told this should be fixed. Now time travel magic happens. Someone in the design side notices that, hey, I've done something wrong, there's a markup for me. And we have updated version of the model. I'll step you the boring part how that's done. So let's rerun our collision check. Here's the same setup we used last time. We can choose to rerun it, the same configuration we used last time. And Easier automatically detects that, hey, these collisions are now fixed. And if you look what's going on, we can see that, okay, the pipe has been moved, so the collision is no longer there between the pipe and the support structures. Okay. And this is how easy it is to perform and manage your collisions, or perform collision checks and manage collisions inside Easier. Easier is, of course, a collaboration tool, but it's also a tool for everyone to get information they need by themselves. So let's look at some of the improvements we've done to give you the information for your project. Well, I touched this already briefly, the customizable home view. This allows you to show the data that is relevant to you, and it's a great way to create dashboards for the details that are important to you for this system. So you can create multiple of these tabs inside your home view. Project admins can create them so that everyone who is using the project sees these tabs, and then you can create your own tabs as you wish. And currently our offering of widgets is still somewhat limited. You can see categorization as a pie chart. You can see data from historical data source as a time series graph. You can see the basic project information, recent markups, and search result tab. The last three we already saw in previous demos. Another thing we already had a bit of a peek was the new way to view the search results. Previously in Easier, the search results were listed in the same way as search engines show them in a list view, and this is still available as an option, but by default we show now our search result data as a table, which is a great way to work with the data. Inside search result table, you can show arbitrary data from your project, not only attributes from CAD model, but you can also show data like statuses, which are linked to this object. You can see data from external data sources. If there's something from ERP or PLM system, you can see it in the same search table. And of course, search can show results from markups, smart points, etc. Naturally, you can support, filter the data the way you want. There's one technical limitation still for the search result table, and the number of results you can show at once is limited to a few thousand. We'll work to improve this, but there's some limitations still. Then we have a bit of a prototype offering also, a notification tool of changes. This is something which is not shipped by default with Easier, so this is an additional tool which you can use to send notifications via email to people when changes happen to markups or statuses they are interested in. And if you want to actually try this tool out, contact our customer success. They will provide you the opportunity. Okay, let's have a short demo of how the new search result view works. Like I said, the search capabilities are mostly the same as they have been. We've improved it a bit. There are a few new operators, and we are still continuing improving the search. But the biggest difference is now in the way we show the data. And let's have a short example using status data, how you can use this search result table for your benefit. So in this case, I've combined data from Easer's model data. So key attribute tells you which object we are talking about. Then we have data, for instance, from PLM system, telling us if this has been released for production already. And then we have data from ERP system, telling if the things have arrived. And then there is also some status data. We could add there many, many more columns if you would like to, but at the moment, this is everything we need. And in this scenario, we are not using Ego or tablets to track statuses from the field, but instead just using good old phone calls. So I'm calling Jürgen to ask that, hey, what's going on? But before I call Jürgen, I want to know actually what's important. So I'm only interested in things which are already released, because those are things that might be actually installed already. So let's filter that. And I know Jürgen won't install anything unless the stuff is in the warehouse. So I want to filter also from ERP to only rows which tell me that these components are already in the warehouse and in theory could be installed. Okay, here are the potential data I can use. So now I call Jürgen, ask, hey, have we already installed this object? I have to look from the big string 823. And let's see what the answer is. The answer is, hey, yes, we have actually installed it. So now I can just, by using the search result table, say that, yep, this object is now installed. Next, I call Juan, ask, hey, you're the inspector, did you already inspect this? Yep, good installation, inspection passed. Then the next pipeline. Again, I can call Jürgen, hey, how's it going? Has this been installed? He answers, yes, it was. Again, I can easily mark the whole pipeline to be now installed. And my friend Juan, who does inspections, has this time bad news for me. John, our welder, did a crappy job, and the inspection didn't pass. Another new feature we have, statuses can now have attributes. So here we have a comment attribute for the status, explaining why this inspection was rejected. And so instead of jumping back and forth in your 3D to set your statuses, you can now do it also in your search result view and track here what your statuses are and also modify the statuses in your project. So far, all the examples I've used have been very CAD model centric, and that has traditionally been the way how Easer is used. CAD model has been the heart of an Easer project. But that is not the reality in all cases. There are retrofittings, there are older plants where we are making brownfield projects, and sometimes the 3D model just isn't there. In this case, this laser scanning offers a nice way to create a basis for your retrofitting or for your digital twin. So, to support this, we have created some new capabilities to work with laser scanning data. So, for instance, we can use 360 panoramas captured with Navis backpack scanners, so basically support for E57 file format with spherical panoramas. This can be also extended. If you have done drone scans from the exterior of your plant, those can be turned to textured meshes, which make really beautiful work of outside scans. Currently, we support FBX and OBJ file formats. If needed, this can be also extended. To make working with the point clouds easier, previously you were jumping between scanner points. Now you can move like in Street View, and also you can check your bubble view in browser. Previously, this was only available in Easor App. In Easor App, you can orbit your scanner point, which makes seeing what's actually happening there much easier. And then we have created an approximate way to compare your CAD model with your laser scanning data in case you happen to have both. And here's an example how a combination of a laser scanning and CAD model can be compared to show what the differences are. More of this bit later. Just having laser scan data doesn't yet give you a digital twin. You must have some understanding what this data actually contains. And in order to do that, we have created to Easor possibility to detect tags from your laser scanning data automatically. And this is based on those panoramic images. This is not a bulletproof solution. And the reason is that the laser scannings have to be pretty good for this to actually work. But in case you have high-quality laser scannings, this can be a tremendous help if you want to turn a brownfield project to a smart digital twin. And nowadays, of course, if you don't have old scans, these backpack scanners offer a rapid way to start your journey to digital twins. And once we have found the labels from the laser scanning, we can create their smart points. And in Easor, smart points are one of the ways to link your model data to external data and documents. From technical side, the way we actually implement this is that we use Asor's AI services to analyze the images. And Cadmatic won't offer you some Asor service for this, so you will use your own Asor subscription, which allows you to have the full control where your data is actually handled. But of course, for the time of the analysis, Asor will have your point cloud data at them. And since this is an external service, what's the cost? Based on our experience, very, very negligible. Yeah, so how good this actually is? It's about as good as your own eyes. If you have a tag in your point cloud that you can read yourself, most probably AI can read it also. If you can't read what's in that tag, well, or a label, neither can the AI. So easy way to say if your data is good enough. You can read it, then it's good enough. Let's have a few short demos of these new features. Let's start with the Street View navigation. Point clouds have been easier for quite some time, but now they are much nicer to use than ever. So previously, we would use scanner position to move from one scanner position to another, which was slow and sometimes difficult to see where scanners actually were. So nowadays, instead, you can just, instead of clicking the scanner, you can just click a location in the floor and move towards that point to the closest scanner location. And this allows very easy navigation. Also, we have added this square in the model, which tells you what are the normals of this point cloud data. And the square also allows you to navigate. Put it to wherever you want to be, click it, and we'll move you to the closest scanner position and zoom you to whatever you were interested in. These improvements together make working with point clouds in Easor much, much easier. Another capability related to point clouds is this capability to visually compare your CAD model and your point clouds. And so how does it actually work? So there's a color coding. If you have something which is red, it means that it's only available in the point cloud. You didn't start, did it? Yep. So red stuff is only available in point clouds. If it's blue, it's only in 3D model. And if it's green, hey, then we have a match between our laser scanning data and 3D model. And you can move around and see if your model and reality are in sync. This doesn't use any smart things like checking if the object in whole is modeled correctly, but for using your own eyes to see the quality of your data is a very nice tool. And textured meshes, yet another way to use laser scan data. This is very good when you're, for instance, you have drone scans of the outsides of your plant, and you want to put your plant there. So in this example, there's a very nice scenery from the process plant. Textured meshes don't have any attributes, they are just graphics, but you can put them the same locations with your normal model data, which allows you to see how things actually look like in real life. And also allow you for things like to check that, hey, does my design actually collide with the surrounding terrain, for instance. So far, I've been talking only about eShare and eShare as an application. But fundamentally, eShare is a bit more than just an application. It's a platform that allows different clients, where our browser client and eShare app desktop client are just examples of, to get the same data that eShare has to their disposal. And our own offline tablet tool is Ego. So Ego is your way to get your eShare to construction site where you don't have online connection available. With eShare, you can synchronize the data you want from eShare server, take it with you with a Windows tablet, use it with simple touch controls, and have, for instance, documents, markup, statuses. And if you modify statuses, create markups, you can synchronize them back to eShare later. So what have we done for Ego? Well, Ego can now show, in addition to previously mentioned data, for instance, maps from eShare. eShare search functionality has been much improved. And since eShare is actually very often used by people who are actually bending the metal by themselves, we have also created localizations to new languages, in addition to English, simplified Chinese, Japanese, Korean. And if needed, we can easily roll out new languages. And one quality of life improvement, you can just leave your Ego tablet at the desk and tell it when to synchronize during night. So you can just next morning grab your tablet and go with a fresh set of data. And yeah, this is the environment where people actually use Ego tablets. It's on shipyards, on manufacturing, people who are actually there welding the metal can check from Ego what did this drawing actually say. And also, if you've never used Ego by yourself, go to our customer success corner, there you can try it by yourself. Okay, equipped to succeed. This is a collection of features that doesn't naturally fall under the previous categories. And these are some of our improved tools, some are completely new tools. Let's start with something completely new. 4D animations, also known as 4D sequences. From the very beginning, one of the core functionalities of eShare has been the ability to use visual styles, which means that it's the way to color your 3D model based on data, which can be from inside eShare, for instance. Based on the status of your object, you can see with color coding that in which state each object is. Or you can get the data from external data sources, ERP systems, PLMs, whatnot, Excel files by using our adapters and data sources. But visual styles fundamentally give you a snapshot of current state of data. And when we take 3D data and add time to it, we get 4D. So now this is visual styles which show you the progress of the state in time. Basically, it's a series of visual styles where each frame represents a step in time. It can be hours, days, week, whatever you need. Currently, you can get data for your 4D sequence from Easer's own statuses, or then you can use Easer's database adapter to get data for databases. And this allows, for instance, to get data for Gathmatic projects or from some other planning tool if you want to also see how your project will proceed in the future. Like with any data source in Easer, this data is retrieved every time you want to see this data, so you will always get the latest up-to-date live data for you. In addition to just coloring your model, 4D animations can show and hide objects and affect the transparency of the objects. And as a nice bonus, this transparency controlling is now also part of static visual styles, which makes them somewhat more powerful. So, how do these 4D animations then actually work? Let's assume we have few pipelines and we are tracking what's going on with them on a weekly basis. After week 1, nothing was done with them, so they were both still hidden from your 3D model. They didn't exist because they weren't done. After week 2, the first pipeline was installed, and now you can see it in the animation with blue color, while the pipeline 2 is still invisible because it hasn't been done. After week 3, both of the pipelines are now installed. You can see them in your 3D model with blue color. And after week 4, they have been pressure tested, so now they are green to signal you that now they are good. So this is how 4D animations work. What other new interesting features we have? Fully customizable hierarchies. Hierarchies in Easer mean the way we sort the model tree. And Easer has always allowed you to do this in many different ways. The ways that are based on attribute data were originally defined in the model file itself. And then you could use external data, the same data you could use, for instance, visual styles to make dynamic hierarchies based on external data. But now you can combine these two attributes. First of all the model data-based hierarchies, you can now edit them, and you can define your own hierarchies. But instead of using just model attributes and 3D spaces, you can combine these with data coming from external systems. And this gives you a very powerful view, combined view, which contains data, for instance, again, ERP, PLM. You see them combined together in a very natural and easy to read way. We'll have a demo of this later. It will make things more clear. And calculated attributes. So, 3D model, you have objects. Each object has some attributes. But what if you want to know, for instance, okay, how much does this pipeline or this block actually, for instance, weight? You would like to see a combination of these attributes, and that's why we have calculated attributes. So you have numeric attributes in your object, and then as an administrator, you can configure rules how these attributes are combined. We can do some math, sums, minimum values, maximum values, averages, or then we can count, for instance, how many objects we have that don't have this attribute. It allows you to do some quality control with your data. And also, as a special case, we can calculate the common center of gravity of selected objects, of course assuming that each individual object has the COG data available. And like you saw in the second slide, we've been quite busy for the last 2 years, so this is not all that we have done. Other things, some of which I've already touched briefly, we've added attribute data to statuses, both these comments, and also if you have a long-lasting project, you can say that, or work phase, you can say that now this work phase is in status in implementation and it's 50% done, giving you more granularity. Split view, especially nice if you have one of the really nice wide screens you have nowadays. There you can share your easier screen between the 3D model and map or documents or search, allowing you to have 2 separate views for the same data on the same screen at the same time. On 3D side, we have added grid lines to help understand model and facilitate measurements. Measurement tools in general have been improved. Chain measurement, common baseline measurement are now available. For those of you who like the CAD-like view of your CAD model, there's now orthographic projection. If you have an easier project with a lot of documents linked to objects, you can now order those and categorize those document links based on their metadata. You can split your big easier project to submodels. This allows both you to see only things that are relevant to you, but also open parts of very large projects in devices with limited computational capabilities. And then you can use the model tree to create quick reports, a demo of that soon. And then we've done so many other things. Yep. Okay, few more demos. The 4D demo is quite short. Jim will later today have a session about visualizing time, about the 4D capabilities of eShare. That's a more in-depth thing. No one presents new features better than Jim. But let's have a quick look how easy or difficult it is to create a new 4D sequence. So here we have a ship, and we're interested in checking how the blocks are erected when the ship is constructed. So we need the hull block number as an input from the model side. That's what we have to know. And since we nowadays, or now only support database integrations to 4D sequence, first you have to create a database adapter. And in eShare, a database adapter creates a connection to a given database. Basically, any commonly known database is supported. Here we are just using a local SQL server. And local, of course, in eShare's context means the same place as where your eShare server is running. So let's define a connection to local database. Good. An adapter creates a connection to a type of data available, in this case database, and then we have data sources which tell eShare what kind of data you want to get from that location. And now we have the new 4D sequence data source available for database. So, the UI has a few items. First, we want to set that when we start this 4D sequence or animation, hide all the object, and then we are interested in time step of 1 day each. And that's basically all we need now. You can choose whether you use all the data available from the database, or you can use just part of it, define hard limits, or relational limits. And since this is a database, data source, the way to get your data is by writing a query. So here we define what is the tag we use to identify which block we are talking about in eShare, and then we did the actual query. In this case, we were lucky. We had a friendly DBA actually figuring out the query for us. So we have data which tells that which block at which moment when it was being erected and when that process was done. Okay, so we have the query already done for us. Let's copy it to Azure. And in Azure, we just have to clean up the query a bit, because Azure already knows the database we are talking about. No need to add an additional piece of text there, and of course we want to keep our configuration clean. So let's do a bit of styling here. And basically, your integration to database with 4D data is the 2 lines of SQL. That's how much work it actually is. Yes, of course, SQL queries can be more complex. Yes, all categories means that if someone sometimes comes up with more states for this visualization, they will be automatically added there. Let's create colors which represent what's happening from visual point of view. That's good. And yeah, our configuration is done. We can see that for each time step there is something happening at quite a steady pace. And last but not least, let's rename the data source. Name the data source how users will see this in UI or in the user side. Good. And one minor detail, 4D sequence is now available only in Azure app. For 25H2, we will bring it available also for the browser version of Azure. Okay, let's update the visual styles menu. So 4D sequences live in the same location as visual styles. You can just select it from there, and hey presto, your zip starts to appear on screen block by block. And in the top you can see the video controls which tell you that in which moment of time we are. And as you can see, you can modify the UI, the animation keeps on going. You can move in the model. Not all the features of the model are available when you have an animation running, for instance, selection of objects, etc. And then using the slider allows you to find the exact spot where you want. And as you can see, the animation is very smooth, even if you are moving fast. So this is Azure's 4D sequencing, which allows you to track progress, check that your plans are good, see how projections for the future turn out. Okay, next topic, deeper dive in the multi-level dynamic hierarchy. So, dynamic multi-level. Dynamic in Azure means that the data is not coming from inside the Azure, it's coming from some external data source, from one of the integrations we have available. And multi-level means that you can have multiple levels defined, some of which are based on external data, some of which are based on model data. Okay, let's first make some room to have nicer space to work. And here we have as an example, installation readiness by compartment hierarchy defined. These hierarchy levels are basically how deep in the model tree you are. On the first level, closest to the root of the tree, we have a level type space, so these are 3D spaces, and we use compartments. We could use any other 3D space, but compartments are what we want to use now as the first level of our model tree. And then we have these non-member categories which tell where the excess objects go. The next level, this is coming or telling the installation week, so whoever is doing the installation planning has this data in their system where Azure can read it from. Categorization basically means this is data from external systems. And again, then we have the category for data which is not under this installation information. Then we have another categorization which tells from our PLM system what is the release status of these objects or model items. And we know where those which are not controlled by PLM are going. And as last external data level in the tree, we have the material availability from ERP system. And as a final level in model tree, we have the attribute data, which is coming from Easer's CAD data. And we call it the pipeline, but basically it creates levels based on name of object pipeline, equipment position ID, or valve position ID. Okay, so this is all it takes to create multi-level dynamic hierarchy. A UI, a few levels, and basically all the hard work was done when those categorizations were defined. Then you can just use them for any multi-level dynamic hierarchy you want. So now let's combine a few things here. Let's use multi-level dynamic hierarchy to create an interesting tree and see how we can turn tree into quick report. Okay, we want to use the hierarchy we just created, but first you see here the installation week material availability and release status are available also as individual dynamic hierarchies, but now we are using the installation readiness by compartment. Today I'm interested in thruster room forward compartment. And there I can see that in week 1 there are some things which are things we want to install next week. Some things are still in design, and seems to be that their materials are not ordered. Okay, some things are released from design, some materials even in warehouse, but we also have their material which is not ordered yet. Okay, with a simple example like this probably would be enough. But with more complex example, this is not the best way to view your data. So with throw as table, we now flatten the model tree to a table, and we can export this table to Excel. And inside Excel, you can use all its power to filter, sort, find out any relevant information you want from here. Okay, in this case, we are interested both in design and released objects, but we are only interested in those objects that don't have their material ordered yet. And in this case, these are probably the items you should start thinking, hey, how do I get the materials? This should be installed next week. And this is the power of the multi-level dynamic hierarchies. It allows you to combine data from multiple different systems to one report very easily. All the features you've seen before, they are powerful features that make your life easier in many ways. But some of the features we have done are technologically more groundbreaking than others. Now I'd like to introduce a few more advanced technologies that we have been working with. So we also want to try to use the latest available technology to give you the most options possible. And one of these options is now presentation mode, which is a possibility to view your CAD model using real-time ray tracing. In case your computer supports it, requires an external GPU and quite a new one preferably. And also this is now a beta feature, but if you happen to have a nice computer and allow the limitations of the beta feature, you can create very realistic images with nice lighting, shadows, reflections, which you can use, for instance, marketing or customer presentations. Other place where we have been pushing limits is our capability to use 64-bit memory on browsers, which allows a browser easier to open very large models, like I said, even the largest cruise ships in the world can be opened as a single model inside browser easier nowadays. Let's take a bit closer look into this presentation mode. At the moment, presentation mode is in early beta, so it has somewhat limited functionality. One thing which is missing is controlling the visibility of objects. Luckily, you can, in your normal rendering, select which objects are visible, which are not. And then these also are reflected when you choose to use presentation mode. Here you can choose quality versus speed, and also with what kind of materials we are showing. And this is how your ship model looks when it's ray traced. You don't have to hide those objects because the performance would be poor. Actually, this ray tracing has a very good performance. So as long as you have enough GPU memory, it will run very smoothly. Okay, so what can the presentation mode look outside of looking really nice? Of course, you can navigate in your model the same way as you can navigate in EasyJet 3D. You can use your mouse, keyboard, 3D mouse if you have one. You can use scenes, and also you can use the commands in navigation menu. So this allows you to easily find the best angle for your images. Ray tracing is basically a simulation of physics, where we simulate how the light behaves in your model, and therefore you need to have a light source. In this case, your primary light source is the sun, the sky. So if you want to have nice pictures, you want to know where the sun is relative to your model. So you can send the azimuth and elevation. Azimuth it is this way, horizontal location, and elevation is vertical location. And if you really want, you can put the sun close to the horizon, giving you those nice sunset colors for really, really nice images. Well, if you are not outside of your model, you're inside of the model, or you happen to be on the shady side, well, then you don't have sunlight. So that's why I have Spotlight. And Spotlight allows you to create lighting conditions as you like. So you can put the Spotlight on. Then you can control the intensity of the light. There's enough of it available. And you can also choose how wide is the cone of light in Lightning model. And then when you have found a nice location for light, you can drop the Spotlight there and move the location where the light looks just right to have nice images, or then you can pick up the Spotlight with you again. Yes, we know we would really like to have like a realistically modeled lightnings inside of these models. We are working on it, but it's not there yet. Like I said, early beta. One more thing you can do with presentation mode is use the clipbox functionality of eShare to clip the model. So same as always, you can choose what you want to see, which part of the ship. So if you want to show the internals of your ship in ray tracing, just clip the parts that are not relevant, and you have all the light you need. One more thing, presentation mode available only in eShare app, not coming to browsers anytime soon. I think we have to wait a few years until the browser developers catch up with the developments in computer graphics also. Okay, everything I have talked so far has been things we have done in eShare during the past few years and how it affects the older functionalities. But let's have a short peek into the future. And the things I'm showing here, these are not promises, these are aspirations. So don't take anything here as promised, and especially I don't promise any given dates yet. But what are the things we want to work with eShare in the future? Well, we want to keep on developing our existing features, collision checking, 4D presentation mode. All of these still have a lot of room for improvements. And actually, during the last few years, like I've mentioned a few times, we have added many new features to eShare. Now we are a bit shifting our approach. So we are adding less new features, and we concentrate a bit more in making the existing features better, richer, easier to use, more performant. So instead of bringing new, we are improving the existing more. Doesn't mean that we stop developing new features, it's just less of a focus from now on. What else we want to do? Well, we want to support new platforms, support for Safari browser, which would allow you to use eShare on iPad also. I checked with the development team. We are actually working with this right now. And well, talking with developers, you get whatever you ask for. So ask for, do we get it? And the answer is with 84% certainty, yes. So a definite maybe. Then what else? eShare's UI, as it is now, works nicely with computers, very nicely. You can use it with tablets. If it goes more than that, our UI, technically speaking, works, but the usability is not there. So maybe we want to go to phone-sized devices in the future also. AI is everywhere. AI is getting more capable. A system like eShare, where you have a lot of data from different systems available, is a natural application for AI systems. So that's something we will definitely work with. Scalability and UX, always hot topics. eShare is very scalable, usability is nice, but we can still do better. Integrated product offering. So that means, because as much as I love eShare, it's not our only product. We will also keep on integrating eShare more closely with other products. And of course, eShare is fundamentally part of Wave, so that is a special case. Bread and butter of eShare, how to get your model data to eShare. New CAD formats, we don't support everything in the world yet. Also important topic. Cloud support. Yes, we can serve eShare on cloud. Can we do it better? Definitely. Can we do it more cost effectively? Yes. And also an important topic. Then we have some smaller features coming, like how to select your project, not from a list, but from the world map that you actually know like where your plant is. Can you use OR-term inserts? Answered both of those questions, by the way, yes. Can we support new use cases, for instance, isolation procedures? Maybe. We will improve data security, very important. We want your data to be safe with eShare now and in future. Robustness of foundation. Well, this is a bit more abstract. Basically, we want to make sure that eShare is capable of dealing all the model data you have so that it maintains the full richness of the information you have inside your model. And then embracing partnerships. AR systems, document digitalization. You have seen in the lobby there are people from Hololight and Semantum. So we don't want to do everything for ourselves. We want to have good partners that can do things where they are really good with us. And talking about AR, we've had the Microsoft HoloLens 2 support with eShare for HoloLens application, but unfortunately, Microsoft decided to stop the production of HoloLens 2, and they are not planning to produce more new HoloLens devices, so naturally we have stopped the development of eShare for HoloLens application also. It is still available, and existing customers can still use it, but we will not develop new features, only fix critical bugs and like security issues. So, to allow utilization of AR with Cadmatic tools, we are partnering, for instance, with Hololight and use their capabilities to give you best possible AR experience. So, if you haven't checked what they are capable of in this partner area, go check. They have really cool capabilities. Okay. That is all. Thank you everyone for listening. And in case someone has a question before we go to lunch, now is your time to ask them. Mikko here has the microphone, so I can actually hear you. Any questions?
Okay, maybe one small question. You're talking about ray tracing.
Yes.
But ray tracing is a certain side of the video cards. How about FSR?
How about what?
FSR.
Currently we are just working with ray tracing, so we have to choose our battles, and that's what we are working with now.
Yeah, so you're excluding a certain path of video cards.
Sorry, can you keep the mic a bit closer?
Not all video cards support ray
True.
tracing. There's, for example, the AMD side. They use
AMD devices do support some of them. Yes.
They use FSR.
Well, what we are doing does work with the AMD devices also. But yes, there are limitations. We know that what we are doing at the moment is limited to certain hardware. And this is basically a minimum viable product approach. What we have now is there to explore what we can do with ray tracing and also how valuable it is to customers. And if we find that this is valuable for people and it fulfills the needs of people, then we will, expand so that everyone can use it as much as possible.
So basically, to elaborate the hardware support, we are currently supporting NVIDIA RTX cards,
Yes.
AMD separate dedicated GPUs with the ray tracing, and also Intel Arc, I think. So all of the main brands, but usually at the moment the ray tracing capability is not in the integrated display adapters. So those are not able to support it. But if you have a
AMD Radeon?
I don't know.
The bigger size of the AMD Radeon cards?
Yeah. But I think also the AMD cards support the technology that we use. So
Yes.
they should work. If you have a discrete graphics adapter from the past few years, it should work. Yes?
Further questions?